miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. We want to welcome everybody to our show tonight. I tried to use the computers just a few minutes ago, and they're buffering the heck out of us. Now, I don't know right away whether it's just a computer or not. I made some changes, and it should not have been buffering on the computer at all. So they may be doing it here on YouTube. I don't know. But I want to make sure that all of you are aware of what is going on. We will continue to be broadcasting on this channel. It's not going to stop. I want to make that clear. It's not going to stop. Now, please, folks, if you have not already subscribed, please do subscribe to this channel. Also, make sure you hit the notification bell. Click on that little tiny notification bell right next to the subscription button. Hit that notification bell, and when you do, a drop-down menu of 3 items will come up. Click on the word all. That should get you notified when we come on the air, but be advised, they don't always notify everybody. YouTube is very specific who they notify and who they don't, I found out. It's sad. It's a very sad state of affairs with YouTube. Now, President Trump and Elon Musk are told that the social media people do not censor anyone. When it comes to political talk, don't censor anyone any longer. Now, there are people such as Mark Zuckerberg who have tried to play up to Elon Musk and play up to Trump now, saying they have fired the fact checkers on Facebook. They're no longer going to censor Facebook any longer as they did under the Biden administration. However, be advised, YouTube has not done anything about it. YouTube is still censoring everybody. Please know that. Please know that. YouTube continues to unsubscribe people. Okay? They continue to unsubscribe people right and left. It's a sad state of affairs. Now, I want to tell you this. We're not leaving this air. We're not going to leave this channel. It's going to continue. Yes, Don Patoga says Zucker. Yes, Zuckerberg. I have other names I want to call him, but I won't do that. Zuckerberg lies through his teeth, as do all the other social media giants. Okay? I don't trust them any further than I can throw them, which I'd like to do. Now, I've got some other news for you, okay? Yes, we'll get around to talking about some earthquakes here in just a minute, okay? But we have some things I need to talk to you about. Today, President Trump signed another executive order. That executive order did a lot of things, okay? That executive order would make it so no other agencies within the federal government could spend any money. Now, this does not apply to Medicare. This does not apply to Social Security or SSDI recipients. Okay? Please know that. Your money's not going away. It also doesn't apply to food stamps or SNAP. Okay? Those things are hard, fast benefits. Okay, Trump has not canceled those nor put a halt to that money. That money is there, and that money is going to go out to the recipients. That's what we're told. Okay, that's hard and fast. However, other agencies don't like it. Now, the Democrats went to court today to stop the implementation of that executive order, saying it was discriminatory to LGBTQ, AI++, and all the other supposed people that could be discriminated against. It's not discriminatory, okay? But that judge who Biden had appointed, the judge that put a 1-week stay on President Trump's order, has said,
New York Judge Juan Merchan
that order is stopped for at least a week. Now, that doesn't mean anything. That really doesn't mean anything. because the order applies to new hires by the federal government. No agency can hire anybody right now. It also applies to money that had been expended over to Ukraine. Trump has said that he has stopped all money flowing to Ukraine at all. Nothing more. They're not going to get a red cent. The people that are ongoing, you need to be aware of this. There are agencies that are already been appropriated. That money's going to continue. That money will continue. Now, they can't just stop it entirely. The Democrats have tried that. They've been very unsuccessful at stopping what's going on. But be advised, the Democrats are going to do whatever they can to do whatever they want to do. Okay? Now, as for the LGBTQAI++, President Trump has also told the military, do not even think of playing the DEI roles in the military. That is also stopped. President Trump last week fired a United States Coast Guard admiral from being part of the DEI hire group for trying to promote LGBTQAI++ in the Coast Guard. That's over. All that crap is over. All that DEI crap within the federal agencies are also over. Trump has eliminated those DEI agencies throughout the federal government. That's done. Okay? That in and of itself is going to save the federal government millions, possibly billions of dollars. Okay? The Biden administration and thereby the Obama administration before that, and Obama's behind all of this. This was Obama's third term with Biden. It's all stopped. President Trump last week put a halt to it. He put a halt to it. All of it. That's done. Don Patoka says ADEI+++. Yeah, bye-bye. Yeah, exactly. Now, I want to play for you some information about what happened today. Okay? You're going to hear the audio of this. Okay? First off, Kash Patel. He's now the new FBI director. Okay? Now, Trump's attorney is responding also to Alvin Bragg. Remember Alvin Bragg, the New York State Attorney General? He's in trouble. He's in a lot of trouble. The other New York City Attorney General, she's gone too. Okay? It's all been over. Let me play this audio for you.
Daughter's company, who made $15+ million from the illicit information pouring out of her father's courtroom. I want to know the bank records because money doesn't lie. I want to know how deep it is and how much of it went to the family and how much of it is going to the family after this false conviction. And then we need to investigate the FEC actual violations that this judge and his family conducted, because he should never have been overseeing this trial to begin with because of the illicit campaign money that was flowing through there, and the unconstitutional due process violations are only the beginning. So America is calling for accountability of our judicial system, and Congress is the only lever that has it. And I'm hoping for one or two brave members of Congress that I'm talking to issue those subpoenas ASAP.
Okay, let me halt this. I'll let it go again in just a minute. Kash Patel has found out the New York governor, Kathy Hochul, has given $700,000 to Lauren Mershon, daughter of Judge Juan Mershon of New York, the one after Trump. He shouldn't have done that. He should have recused himself because of his ties to his daughter's company and his ties to the Democrat Party. Juan Mershon also gave money through his daughter Laura Mershon's company that was raising money for the Democrat Party. So Juan Mershon is in trouble, his daughter is also in trouble, and Kash Patel, being the head of the FBI now, is going to issue subpoenas through Congress to get all that data, and then he's going to hold Juan Mershon and his daughter hostage, literally. Okay? He's going to nail them at the goalpost. Juan Mershon should have never tried to go after President Trump. He should never even done what he did. Okay? Giving false information to the jury so they would convict President Trump. There was no real conviction. There's no real conviction because Juan Mershon read the jury instructions to the jury and it was bad instructions, very vague instructions, telling the jury they did not have to come to a completely unanimous decision about any one charge. Okay? They did it illegally. So Juan Mershon is in trouble. His daughter, Laura Mershon, that took money from her father, and also Kathy Hochul, the New York governor, and gave it to the Democrat Party. So both of them are in trouble, a lot of trouble. Let's go on here. I want to play a clip from the audio clip from Stephen Gardner's show just a couple days ago.
Investigative journalist Laura Loomer has busted another Trump-hating Democrat. New York's Democrat governor, Kathy Hochul, has sent nearly $700,000 in payments to the personal residence
to election day. So 5 months.
I just for clarification, did you
To election day. So 5 months.
I just for clarification, did you mean that the 34 count case in which Donald Trump was found guilty of various
To election day. So 5 months.
I just for clarification, did you mean that the 34 count case in which Donald Trump was found guilty of various financial crimes was politically motivated here in New York?
I found
This is John Fetterman.
that when the judicial system gets weaponized and targeted political enemies for political gain, I think that's inappropriate, and I think that degrades our collective trust in this a very important institution, whether that's on a Democratic going after a Republican or a Republican going after a Democratic one. And I like to think I call it strikes and balls, because the judicial system has to remain impartial. I mean, that's really the cornerstone of our society.
Would that be the way things work?
Okay? I'm going to stop there. You heard it here. Okay? Even John Fetterman is backing this. Kathy Hochul's in trouble. Juan Mershon's in trouble. Laura Mershon's in trouble. Everybody's going after it. The Democrats should have known what they were doing was wrong. They should have known right out front that it was wrong, but they did it anyway in order to keep President Trump from assuming the office of the president. Now, even as of 3 weeks ago, they tried stopping President Trump from even taking the oath of office. There were all kinds of threats going out, all kinds of stories going out that they were going to have these drones out in Washington, all over the place, to stop President Trump from taking office. I think that's one of the reasons President Trump moved his inauguration inside the U.S. Capitol building. There were too many threats, and he knew that. He knew that. Don Patoga says, "Where's my cut, Ron? I wish I could have a cut. I'd give anything to have even a tenth of that $700,000. Kathy Hochul should have known that she was going to be found out. Okay? It's insane. It's completely insane, guys. I've never seen anything like this before. They've done it and done it and done it, and they've just gotten away with it. It's completely insane. Totally and completely insane. Sleeping Volcano says it was a smart move. Okay? But anyway, that's what's going on in our political arena today. President Trump signed that executive order to ban U.S. agencies from spending one slim dime for anything until there's a reckoning. Until there's a reckoning. They can't send money to Ukraine. They can't spend one dime hiring one more person, at least for a week. Okay? George Rashad said the dominoes are falling. You're absolutely right, George. The dominoes are falling. Okay? They can't go any further. Wouldn't you know? Wouldn't you know? YouTube's still playing games here. I'm sorry for that buffering. It's unreal what the YouTube does. But I'm back. I'm back. Sleeping Volcano says yesterday she was 80 years old, and now today it's her little sister's birthday. Happy birthday to you, Sleeping Volcano, and your sister as well. Now I hope we don't continue getting buffered. YouTube doesn't like me, like I said. They've done this before. Hopefully it doesn't happen too much longer because I will come all over them. There are attorneys in play investigating what YouTube has been doing. Okay? It's not going to happen anymore. Anyway, guys, do you have any questions about anything else that's happened politically today? Also, the first press conference of the new press secretary, Carolyn, has been had today. She did a very good job. She did an awesome job. She didn't tell any lies. She didn't buffalo anybody what was going on. She did her job. Now, one Democrat reporter tried to go on about Biden, and she hushed him up. She hushed him up. Okay? So the Trump administration is not taking any prisoners. The Trump administration is not taking any guff from anybody, including in the press conference or the White House briefing. They're not taking any guff at all. Now, I want to go off and start talking about some earthquakes here. Let's go over here to the Pacific Northwest here. Okay? As I've said before, we have had earthquakes along the coastline of Washington, Oregon, and Northern California. And usually the USGS hides all kinds of information. Today, look what they've had. They've even told us that they had an earthquake over here in Queets, Washington. Queets, Washington. This is a 1.0 tremor here along the coast. However, guys, there's probably close to 1,000 tremors here along the coastline of Washington and Oregon. They just don't want to show it. They just plain don't want to show it. Over here in the Strait of Juan de Fuca here, right here. This is Clallam Bay, Washington. This is another 1.0 tremor here. Also down in the Puget Sound here. This is a 1.2 tremor near Kingston, Washington. USGS has this as 2 miles east-southeast of Kingston, and that's 1 mile. 1 mile east-southeast of Kingston. In my book, that is Kingston, Washington, regardless of what USGS says it is. Okay? Now, let's go over here to Mount Rainier. Remember yesterday, they were not showing any earthquakes at all around Mount Rainier. At least they're owning up to some earthquakes there today. Right here. Right down the throat of Mount Rainier here. Okay? Look at this. Okay? This is a supposed surface quake. It's a 0.0 surface quake at Mount Rainier. However, guys, guess what? It's 2.1 kilometers deep. It's 1 mile deep inside Mount Rainier. It is not a surface quake. It is not a surface quake. 1 mile deep inside of Mount Rainier. Right next to it, right down the throat of the volcano here. This is a 0.8 microquake. This is also 2 miles deep. 2 miles deep. And wouldn't you know, both of these earthquakes they're claiming are 23 kilometers east-northeast of Ashford, Washington. Why do they not say at Mount Rainier? Both of these earthquakes are at Mount Rainier, right down the throat of the volcano. Also, further south here, okay, let's look at this. This also is a microquake at Mount Rainier. Yes, it is in the foothills of Mount Rainier, but it's still an earthquake here at Mount Rainier. They're saying it's 22 kilometers north of Packwood, Washington. No, it's at Mount Rainier. 0.4 surface quake, but it's not. This is a mile and a half deep. A mile and a half deep. Further southwest from there, okay, look at this. They say this is 13 kilometers east-southeast of Ashford, Washington. This is in the foothills of Mount Rainier again. This is a 0.7 microquake here. Now there's all kinds of microquakes, all kinds of tremors, all kinds of 3.0, 2.0, 2.5 earthquakes all over Mount Rainier. All over Mount Rainier. They're only showing us minor events. They're showing us some very minor event because they don't want anybody to know exactly what is going on at Mount Rainier. Plain and simple. They think it's okay to not tell the truth. Unreal. Now, let's go further southwest from Mount Rainier here. Okay? This is a 1.0 tremor near Mineral, Washington. Approximately 3 miles southwest of Mineral, Washington. 1.0 tremor here. Let's back out of here a little bit. Okay? I can't wait to show you this. Right down the throat of Mount St. Helens. Right smack dab down the throat of Mount St. Helens. Look at this. This is at the summit area of Mount St. Helens. They say this is a minus 0.3 microquake. Minus numbers usually say that these are above sea level. Guess what? This is not above sea level at all. Again, USGS is lying to us. This is actually 3.5 miles deep. This earthquake right here, this microquake right here, is 3.5 miles deep inside the volcano. Okay? So again, YouTube lies to us again. Over here to the southeast from Mount St. Helens. This is a 0.2 microquake here. This is 2.5 miles. I'm not sorry. Yes, this is 2.5 miles from southeast of Mount St. Helens. Okay? Incredible what they're doing here. Totally incredible. Now let's go further west here. Okay? Notice this is a triangle? Guess what? USGS says this is another explosion here. Really? Let's go here, zoom in here, and let's see what it is. And Dean is here, okay? My buddy Dean, Demon Catman. Let's zoom in here. This is right smack dab in a forest. It's on a hillside in a forest here, okay? They say this is 2 miles northwest of Kalama, Washington. Guess what? Another exploding tree. If this was indeed an explosion, and they are not harvesting trees in this area by dynamite, this was a spontaneous combustus carnivorous. A spontaneous combustus carnivorous. An exploding tree. Okay? Now, guys, USGS is not always right. This proves it. This proves it. Now, we have shown you a quarry blast that they called an explosion yesterday. Yeah, they called a quarry blast an explosion yesterday. They also said there was an explosion when it was a tremor. This is also a tremor, guys. This is also a tremor. Okay? No, there was no explosion. No, it was not spontaneous combustus carnivorous. Okay? Another tremor here. Again, I need to keep reminding everybody, this is a very earthquake-prone area. This is very earthquake-prone area. Now, what is also here? Okay, what do you see here? You see the Columbia River here. Guess what? There are faults underneath the Columbia River. There are faults near the Columbia River, but there's something else here. Look at the surrounding topography. Volcanic rock. There's volcanic rock all over this area. Okay? What is significant about that? That means some of this activity such as that explosion could be magma beneath the surface. It could be magma beneath the surface. This explosion, guys, was 1/3 of a mile deep. 1/3 of a mile deep. Hurricane Heather says she sees geothermal. You're absolutely right. There is geothermal there. Okay? It's incredible what we find out, isn't it? When you do a little exploration, you find out all kinds of things. You find out all kinds of things that they try to pass off as something else. Okay? Again, we've taken a look at Mount Rainier now and Mount St. Helens, but they still have nothing here for Mount Hood. They have nothing here for Bachelor Mountain, Bachelor Volcano. They have nothing here for Newberry Volcano. They have nothing here for Sisters Volcano either. Nothing. But we know darn well there's tremors there. We know darn well there's minor earthquakes there. We know darn well a lot of things. We have to keep our eyes on the ball. We can't trust the agency because they're untrustworthy. They're totally untrustworthy. Now I want to go down here to the southern part, the Cascadia Subduction Zone region. The Cascadia Subduction Zone region. Over here at the Triple Junction here. Right here. This is the Triple Junction. The vertical line, the vertical red line you see here, traveling away from the Triple Junction, is the Cascadia Subduction Zone. The Cascadia Subduction Zone, the great big huge earthquake fault, runs between here and Queen Charlotte Island. Runs between here and Queen Charlotte Island, or Haida Gwaii, as the Canadians want to call it. Okay? Huge, long subduction zone. That subduction zone means that this Earth is subducting underneath the North American continent. Subducting underneath the North American continent. This particular earthquake here is a 2.0 earthquake. West of Petrolia, California, but it's at the Triple Junction, where the Cascadia Subduction Zone, the Gorda Escarpment that runs out to the west here in the Pacific Ocean, and the San Andreas Fault. Yes, the San Andreas Fault starts here and goes all the way down through California. Starts here and runs down throughout California. Okay? That's a real earthquake. A 2.0 earthquake here. Further south, we have another earthquake in the Aleutian Islands near Fox Islands. It's a 5.0 earthquake. A 5.0 earthquake just a few minutes ago. Fox Islands in the Aleutian Island chain. Okay. This is Rockport, California. This is a 1.4 tremor here. Demon Catman is saying that Geology Hub put out a warning about Mount Lassen. That's interesting. That's interesting. Let's look up, hold on a second. Let's see if we can put up Geology Hub here. Okay, they put up this video about the active volcano in California, Lassen Peak. Let's go ahead and show you this.
100 years ago, California was the site of a major explosive eruption that was captured in this photograph. This occurred on May 22, 1915, when pressure in volatiles building beneath Lassen Peak summit broke through overlying rock, generating a powerful explosion that rapidly sent a plume of ash to an altitude of 10 kilometers or 32,800 feet. As part of the associated eruption column collapsed back to the ground due to its high density, a series of superheated pyroclastic flows quickly incinerated large swaths of adjacent forest, reaching as far as 4 miles away and incinerating a total of 3 square miles of land. Today, this area within Lassen Volcanic National Park is simply referred to as the devastated area. And yet, this was only the most recent example of an eruption from an incredibly long-lived active volcanic complex which has been intermittently erupting for 825,000 years. In that long time span, hundreds of explosive eruptions have occurred from dozens of vents, building a large-scale volcanic complex with multiple centers of activity during different periods. For reference, Lassen Peak can be found in the northern third of California, where it is 10.5 miles north-northeast of the town of Mineral. Lassen Peak is quite special, as in the vast Cascade Mountain range, it represents the southernmost active volcano in the range. Its activity is caused by the offshore subduction of the Juan de Fuca plate underneath the North American plate. The melted material from this collision then migrates upwards, intruding into the crust, which sometimes results in eventual eruptions, forming a chain of volcanoes. Before I further discuss this volcano, which contains the largest geothermal area in the entire Cascade Mountain range, I want to note a difference. Technically speaking, Lassen Peak only describes the large lava dome that produced the complex's most recent eruption. And Lassen Volcanic Center is technically the name of the broader complex. While many distinct volcanic centers have been constructed within Lassen Volcanic Center, consisting of cinder cones, lava domes, stratovolcanoes, shield volcanoes, and a caldera, its overall activity can be distinguished by 3 main phases that constructed larger edifices. The first phase of activity constructed the Rockland Center between 825,000 and 609,000 years ago via an overlapping group of dacite and rhyolite lava domes and their associated tephra. Fed by a very large magma chamber, this would lead to the largest volcanic eruption in the last several million years of the Cascade Range 609,000 years ago, ejecting 250 cubic kilometers of tephra, causing hundreds of feet thick of ash and pyroclastic flows to pile up near the volcano, and devastating an area of more than 1,000 square miles. This eruption formed a vast and deep caldera, but it is no longer visible to us today after being buried by significant amounts of more recent eruptive products. The second eruptive period occurred 590,000 to 385,000 years ago, constructing an 11,500 foot tall stratovolcano known as Brokoff Mountain via overlapping layers of basalt to dacite lavas and ash. Large volume flank eruptions occurred in the latter half of the volcano's lifespan, and it would later completely erode away due to intense hydrothermal alteration. The third period began 385,000 years ago and continues to the present, constructing many dacite lava domes in and around the modern Lassen Peak. Lassen Peak proper did not begin to form until 27,000 years ago, when a very large dacite lava dome was constructed across a prolonged eruption with a volume of 2.5 cubic kilometers. In the last 15,000 years, 6 eruptions have occurred from the Lassen Volcanic Center. The first one constructed a cinder cone and associated 3.17 square mile andesitic lava flow 13,000 years ago. In 900 CE, Dome A of the rhyolitic Chaos Crags formed in association with a tephra cone. 70 years later, it was mostly destroyed in a violent explosive eruption. Then, another eruption occurred, constructing 5 more rhyolite lava domes. In 1666 CE, the cinder cone termed cinder cone formed in a mildly explosive eruption which formed many lava fountains, eventually emplacing a 3.26 square mile basaltic andesite lava flow. Lassen Peak Summit then produced an eruption from 1914 to 1917, which represented its most recent activity. Since such a large area could be the site of future eruptions spanning 200 square miles, and that many of these eruptions are associated with heavy ash emissions, pyroclastic flows, and lahars, it should come as no surprise that the U.S. Geological Survey designated Lassen Peak as a very high-threat volcano. As a final note, I would like to thank my new YouTube channel member, Deanna Moore, for supporting my meat talent.
Okay, that was the report from Geology Hub. I find it very entertaining. I also find it very scientifically valid. That's why I play those Geology Hub episodes for you. We have permission to use those. Geology Hub has been on this channel before, so we appreciate that happening. Now, folks, there is a lot of activity. There is a ton of activity. Okay? Mount Lassen is getting ready to erupt. Mount Lassen is getting ready to erupt. Right here. Okay? This is Rockport, California. A 1.4 tremor. But this earthquake here is in Alder Springs, California. Alder Springs, California. This is a 1.5 tremor here. Okay? Let's go south. This is Arbuckle, California here. Okay? Arbuckle, California with a 2.3 minor earthquake. Notice where it's at. Notice where all this is at. It's in the hillside area just west of the great big huge mountain range we have here. I've hiked that mountain range many times. Okay? Now we want to go further to the west. Okay? The geysers. Look at this, guys. The geysers. Again, I want to explain what the geysers are. This is a geothermal area. A geothermal area. Men have drilled into the upper magma chambers of this volcano here, the Clear Lake volcano. Men have drilled into that volcano to obtain steam to power turbines here in the geysers area. This is Sonoma, California. Sonoma, California. Typically, every day we have approximately 20 to 30 earthquakes. There are at least 30 earthquakes here today. At least 30 earthquakes here today. What I have pictured here is a 1.2 tremor here. A 1.2 tremor. Let's zoom in here. I want to show you this. Okay? Wherever you see these earthquakes, it is seismic energy hitting one of those drill points. One of those great big huge drill points that go into the upper magma chambers of the volcano. Okay? The seismic energy comes in off the Pacific Ocean, comes over here to these man-made drill points that fractures rock, causing earth movement. That's what we're seeing here. Let's go further here. Right here, we have an earthquake right at one of the turbine facilities here. This is just one of a total of, I believe, 32 turbine facilities with a total of 81 turbines. 32 facilities with a total of 81 turbines here. This facility right here, I can't get any closer to this, but this facility right here is an 8. This is an 8 turbine facility here. This earthquake here is part of one area where we have a drill point. A drill point. Look over here, guys. Look at this area right here. Guess what? This area right here, where you see my cursor, are drill points. Drill points. These are areas where men have drilled into the surface of the earth over towards the Clear Lake volcano to the upper magma chambers to obtain steam. This area right here is also part of those drill points. So it's no small surprise to see earthquakes here. This is a 0.2 microquake. 0.2 microquake. Okay, we have a lot of microquakes here, as well as minor tremors and also minor earthquakes. Minor tremors are 1.0 to 1.9. These microquakes are anywhere from 0.1 to 0.9. Those are microquakes. Again, tremors 1.1 to 1.9, and even 1.0, 1.9, and minor earthquakes range in size from 2.0 to 2.9. Now, I have seen 2.9 earthquakes here before. I've seen it happen. It happens all the time. We've also had one 4.5 earthquake about a year ago. This earthquake I just highlighted here is a 2.3 minor earthquake. 2.3 minor earthquake. Right here. Let's look and see what this is. This is another turbine facility, guys. This is a 9 turbine facility right here. A 9 turbine facility right here. We have other facilities. Let's see what this is. There's another facility right here. Okay. It's unreal what we find here, isn't it? It's wild. It's wild. These turbine facilities are all over the mountain range here in the geysers area. This is Sonoma County, California. Further to the northwest here is another 0.8 microquake here, right next to a turbine facility. This is a 0.2 microquake. This is a 1.2 tremor. Just north of there, this is a 1.3 tremor here. Right next to it, just to the north of that, this is a 0.7 microquake. See how that works? And I will bet you right here. Let's zoom in here. These are more drill points right here. These are more drill points here. Okay. Right up here. This is a 1.3 tremor here. This is another 1.0 tremor. Like I said, we have tremors, we have microquakes, and we have minor earthquakes here. Okay. This is typical. Here we probably have close to 30, 35 earthquake here. Earthquakes called tremors, microquakes, or minor earthquakes. They're all earthquakes. They're all seismic events here. Again, this is Sonoma County, California. This right here is Clear Lake. It's a volcano. Over here, I do not believe this has anything to do with the geysers facility. This is a 1.7 tremor near Cloverdale, California. Cloverdale, California. Now, I just want to zoom in here to give you a good idea of what Clear Lake volcano is. Okay, let's look here. There are residents here. There are all kinds of houses and condominiums here. This is built up, but yet it is still a volcano. It's still a volcano. Okay? I want to give you a good idea of what this looks like. Look at that. There's homes and even boats here off of jetties. There are boats here on the lake. Right up here. Demon Catlin's going to drink his pint. That's cool. Drink what you want. Does anybody have any questions about the Clear Lake volcano or the geysers facility? Okay. If not, let's go further south. I want to go down here to San Francisco Bay. Guess what? This is a 1.7 tremor here on the north side of San Francisco Bay. But guess what? I want to show you this. This might blow your mind. Okay? This might even blow your mind. Look where this earthquake is. Guess what? This is a quarry. This is a quarry. And USGS actually is calling this a tremor, a 1.7 tremor. Okay? They say this is 6 miles east-southeast of Santa Benicia, California. Right next to a quarry. Actually, it's probably in a quarry here. There it is. It's part of a quarry. Now, I find it very interesting to have a quarry right next to a great big huge bay here. Right next to a huge bay. It would seem to me that the body of water right next to this quarry would cave that quarry in. I don't know. I've not been asked any other questions about it before, and I've not asked any questions about the people that run the quarry and why they would have a quarry right next to the bay. Okay? But I wanted to point that out. We've had many earthquakes here near Santa Benicia before at the same quarry. That's why I wanted to point that out. Okay? Now over here, this is right smack dab next to the San Andreas Fault. But USGS is calling this an explosion. They're calling this a 1.2 tremor explosion. 5 kilometers east of El Granada, California. Let's zoom in here and find out what's going on here. Guess what? Looks like they have geothermal facilities here. These are not just clouds. These are not just clouds. This is actually vapor coming from the ground. There could be magma down here. I don't know for sure, but I think this could be magma. This is the first time I've seen these vapor clouds rising from the ground. Well, maybe those are clouds. I'm sorry. Let's zoom in here again. They're not vapor clouds at all. Those are clouds above the surface. But I've never seen that before. At least not here. Okay? Those are clouds over the surface here. And it's right next to that supposed explosion. Okay? Again, this is in a forested area. Spontaneous combustus carnivorous again. Okay? But look at this. What do we have here? This is a quarry. This is a quarry. And that earthquake is about 2 miles north of that quarry. I'm kind of surprised the USBS is not calling this a quarry blast, because that's typically what happens here. I don't believe this was an explosion at all. Okay, it's right next to, right in smack dab in the middle of a forested area. It's a tremor, all right? It's a tremor north of a quarry. Okay, wild. Wild. But we have seismic energy over here at San Francisco Bay, south of the bay. Okay, this over on the Hayward Fault. It's on the Hayward Fault. This is 1.3 tremor at Alum Rock, California. Further northeast here, right next to the Calaveras Fault here. This is a 1.0 here, 23 kilometers east-northeast of Alum Rock. Okay, right next to the Calaveras Fault to the east. Now we go further south here. I talked about this last night. This is 0.8 again at San Martin, California. As we go further south over here towards Monterey Bay, the Hayward and the Calaveras and the San Andreas Faults come together here. Right here. They come together. This is probably one of the most dangerous fault areas in California. 3 major earthquake faults literally right next to each other. Okay? Right next to each other. Just southeast of Monterey Bay here. This is the Pinnacles. The Pinnacles. This is also on the San Andreas Fault. This is a 1.8 tremor here. Right next to it is a 1.3 tremor here. There's another one here as well. That's a 2.3 earthquake here. 2.3 earthquake. And just north of it, right next to it, is a 1.8 tremor and a 1.3 tremor to the south. The tremors are aftershocks of the 2.3 earthquake right here. Okay? And you can see that it is on the San Andreas Fault. That's what the San Andreas Fault looks like from the space, from the satellite. Okay? Now we can go further south here on the San Andreas. This is also 5 kilometers east of the Pinnacles here. 5 kilometers east of the Pinnacles on the San Andreas Fault. Now, folks, this is on the fault. However, we've been told that there are pumps and jacks in this area, oil and gas producing pumps and jacks. Now, I've never seen a pump and jack here yet, but I've been told there are pump and jacks all over the Pinnacles area. Yes, it's very common to put oil rigs on an earthquake fault like this because there is oil and gas beneath the fault. I don't see a pump and jack anywhere in this area, and I have never seen it. As much as I've been all over this area looking, I've never seen a pump and jack in this area, but I'm told there are pumps and jacks here in the Pinnacles area. Okay, just for reference. Smack dab on the San Andreas Fault. We go further south here. Okay, this is Greenfield, California. This is a 1.2 tremor here near Greenfield, California. Okay, also part of this fault zone. You can see the fault zone right here. It doesn't have to do necessarily with the San Andreas, but this is a separate fault zone in here. Okay? You can look at these fault zones and look at it and say that's a fault zone. Continue down the San Andreas to down here. Okay? Right here. This is Kettleman City, California. Kittleman City, California. This area has oil refineries here. There's an oil refinery here in Kittleman City. This is also a 2.3 earthquake, just east of the San Andreas Fault. Just east of the San Andreas Fault. Now, I want to go further south here, and I've got a reason for it. Right here, we have Maricopa, California. This is a 1.6 tremor. Then we have a fault coming off of the San Andreas right here. Right here in this area here, we have a place called Fraser, California. The San Andreas Fault here meets up with the Gorda, or not the Gorda, I'm sorry, the Garlock Fault. This is the Garlock Fault here. Okay, you can see here. That's a Garlock Fault. It runs from the San Andreas all the way up here. Right up here on the Garlock, we have Johannesburg, California. This is also is very common to have earthquakes here in Johannesburg, California. Okay. Then we come up here to the north, Searles Valley. Searles Valley is just north and also east of Ridgecrest. Searles Valley is north and east of Ridgecrest. In this case, this is a 2.5 earthquake here in Searles Valley. I'm going to zoom in here. I want to show you what we're talking about here. That's Searles Valley. And down here, we have the city, Ridgecrest. Good old Ridgecrest right here. Ridgecrest, California. Further to the north here is Little Lake, California. This is a 1.6 tremor. Out here to the east, this is a 1.4 tremor also in Searles Valley. This is a huge earthquake area in the Mojave Desert. Huge earthquake area here in the Mojave Desert. Let's go further here to the west. We skipped over this. We're going up through the Garlock. This is different. This earthquake here is a 2.7 minor earthquake. Bodefish, California. This is a volcanic area. Bodefish, California is a volcanic area. So there's probably magma here causing these earthquakes here in Bodefish. Here's also Lake Isabella, California. Also part of the volcanic system here in this area. So we have a 1.6 and we have a 2.7 here in Bodefish. Okay. Now, I wanted to go further north up here. This is Mammoth Mountain. Mammoth Mountain. You see quite a few, actually this is just south of Mammoth Mountain. This is Round Valley. Round Valley is a volcanic system as well. Okay, Round Valley here. This is a 2.0 earthquake here. This is a 1.7, and this is a 2.6, the Round Valley volcano. We come up here further to the north here. Mammoth Lakes, Mammoth Mountain. They say this is a minus 0.1 microquake. But again, this is just over 2 miles deep. This is not above sea level. This is 2 miles deep. Okay? Right next to it is a 0.0 microquake, supposedly. Surface quake. Surface quake. But this is not a surface quake. This is 2.5 miles deep. 2.5 miles deep, guys. Unreal. Unreal. Now, we come down off the mountain. We have Mammoth Lakes, California, a well-populated area. This whole area right now is under snow. It's under snow, this whole area. Mammoth Lakes. We go further to the north here. What do we have? We have Mono Lake here. Yes, there are earthquakes here at Mono Lake, but again, USGS is not talking about them. Also, just to the northeast of Mono Lake. Okay? Folks, this is a volcanic area as well, separate and distinct from Mono Lake. This is Aurora Bodie craters. Aurora Bodie craters right here. And yes, there's earthquakes there, but again, USGS is not saying anything about them. Interesting enough. Okay, let's go back down here. We talked about the earthquakes up here in the Mojave Desert. We talked about the earthquakes at Mammoth Mountain. We talked about the earthquakes in Bonefish, California, another volcanic area, and Johannesburg, California, all in the Mojave Desert area. We come further south here, okay, right here. Ojai, California. Ojai, California is not on fire necessarily, but we've had a lot of earthquakes here in Ojai, California as of late. Right here. This is a 1.4 tremor here. Pires, California. Pires, California. Folks, this area has been on fire. This whole area has been on fire. We've seen fire engulf Malibu, California, Palisades, California, and further out to the east, part of the Hughes fire. Unreal. Unreal. We come out here. This is Vincent, California. This is a 1.1 tremor here on the San Andreas Fault. The San Andreas Fault, guys. Now, these are not all the earthquakes here in the LA area. I want to emphasize that. These are not the only earthquakes here in the LA area. They're not giving us much information, but I guarantee you that we have a lot of earthquakes out here. Probably close to 400 earthquakes here in the Los Angeles area. 400 earthquakes here in the Los Angeles area, guaranteed, every day. Every day. Right here, Bradbury, California. This is 1.5 tremor here. Cassandra Goss is going to go to bed. Have a good night, Cassandra. Thanks for being here. We appreciate you so much. Blessed be the night, Murky and others says. Okay, this is Bradbury, California, 1.5 tremor. Folks, this is on the San Jacinto Fault. This is also Claremont, California. Claremont, California is over in near Ontario and in the San Bernardino area. Okay, Claremont, California, 1.0 tremor, also on the San Jacinto Fault. How about that? Okay, now I want to go further south and west here. Okay, this is Anaheim, California. We don't usually see earthquakes here on the USGS map in Anaheim, California, but they are showing us this here today. They're showing us a 1.5 tremor here in Anaheim. I'm going to tell you this. They just don't have tremors here in Anaheim. We have 2.0 earthquakes all over this area, all over Anaheim on State Street. A ton of earthquakes here in Anaheim, California. This 1.5 is actually a drop in the bucket when it comes to Anaheim, California. Anaheim, California is constantly and consistently having tremors and earthquakes. literally 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's what's going on in Anaheim. I want to go back out here to the east, okay? Glen Avon, California. Back when the Ridgecrest earthquake happened, before the earthquake happened here in Ridgecrest, Glen Avon here was a hotbed for earthquakes. Hundreds, if not thousands, of earthquakes around Glen Avon, California. Incredible. Here today is 0.7 microquake. Out to the east, again, this is on the San Jacinto Fault. Loma Linda, California. Loma Linda, California has tremors and earthquakes constantly. 2.0 earthquakes all the time. Tremors all the time. USGS is saying that Loma Linda is having 1.7 tremor. Really? If that was the only earthquake there, I would be very surprised. I know it's not. I know for a fact it's not. We go further to the south and east here, Mentone, California. Every day, Mentone, California has at least 10 to 15 earthquakes a day. 10 to 15 earthquakes a day. Today, they're showing a 1.2 tremor here in Mentone, California. Further south and east here, alongside the what? San Andreas Fault again. Yucaipa, California. 0.7 microquake. Fascinating, isn't it? Let's go south over here to Lake Elsinore. Lake Elsinore, California, we have a 1.2 tremor here. 1.2 tremor here in Orange County, Lake Elsinore, California. Okay? I've shown you Lake Elsinore before. Let's go back out here to the east again. Banning, California. Banning, California is just east of San Jacinto, but it's west of the San Andreas. This is a 1.0 tremor here. 1.0 tremor. This is Cabazon, California. This Cabazon, California is known for its tremors all day long. Tremors here all day long. Probably about 50 tremors here in Cabazon, California. I've shown you seismograms of that. Okay? To the south and west here. Idlewild, California, in the San Bernardino Mountains. Interesting. This is a 0.7 microquake here. To the east and south. Palm Springs, California. Interesting enough. Right next to the San Andreas Fault. Palm Springs, California has a lot of tremors all day long. Every day. Let's go down here to the west. This is just west of the San Jacinto Fault here. The Anza Gap. The Anza Borrego Desert State Park. Northeast San Diego County. Northeast San Diego County. South of that quake, this is 0.5 also in the Anza Gap. Anza Borrego Desert State Park. San Jacinto Fault. This is also part of the Anza Gap here. 0.5 here. Now, before I leave this area, I want to show you these. These are also on the Elsinore Fault. Palomar Mountain. Palomar Mountain. Palomar Mountain is the observatory that NASA and the National Propulsion Laboratory have here in San Diego County, 7,000 feet off the sea. Palomar Mountain is 7,000 feet, I think 7,100 feet high. The world famous telescope is here. These earthquakes here are on the Elsinore Fault. This is a 0.8 microquake here, and right here is 0.5 microquake. They say this earthquake is west-northwest of Palomar. Let's zoom in here. They say this earthquake is just 2 kilometers northwest of Palomar Observatory. Really? Northwest of the observatory? Let's look around here. I don't see this observatory in the area where they're saying it's supposed to be. Usually you can see the observatory buildings here. Excuse me. Usually you can see the observatory buildings here at Palomar. Let's take a minute and look at it. I've actually shown the buildings here at Palomar Observatory before. And right now, Palomar Mountain has snow on it. Probably about 6 or 8 inches of snow. No, I don't see Palomar Observatory here today. It should be in here. No, I don't see them. This is the Anza Gap that I told you about. So we're way far north of the Palomar. Nope, that's not it. When you see the Palomar Observatory from the sky or from a satellite vision, you can see the observatory. It's a round building, and it has several other buildings around it, and also it has several other smaller round buildings around it as well. There are other telescopes on the Palomar Mountain right beside the Hale telescope. The Hale telescope is a Palomar telescope. Okay, it's called the Hale telescope. Okay. No, I don't see Palomar Observatory here, but it should be right in this area here. I think I may have found it right here. Nope, that's not it either. Well, I'll find it again someday here, and I'll show it to you. But it's in on this mountain right here, Palomar Mountain. Okay, good old Palomar Mountain. It's on the Elsinore Fault. That's why we have earthquakes here at Palomar, is it's on the Elsinore Fault zone, coming out of Lake Elsinore naturally. Okay, further south here. Okay. This is Alpine, California. This is East San Diego County. This is East San Diego County Mountains here in Alpine, California. Alpine is just south of Julian. This is a 1.6 tremor here in Alpine. Okay. Alpine, California right here. Okay. Over here. Right here. This is Ocotillo Wells. This is northwest of Ocotillo Wells, California. USGS has it southwest of Ocotillo. This is a 1.0 tremor on the San Jacinto Fault. San Jacinto Fault. You can see Salton Sea here. You can see the entire Imperial Valley here. They're not showing any earthquakes here. Further south here, this is Baja California here. Probably, I'm going to say, just south of Calexico. South of Calexico here. Okay. On the border, south of Calexico, a 1.3 tremor. And south of Calexico right here, this is a 1.5 tremor. This hit late last night, just 15 minutes after midnight, 12:15 this morning. Now I want to come down here to the south near the coastline of Baja California. This is a 1.5 tremor. This is 25 kilometers east-northeast of Ensenada. East-northeast of Ensenada. I don't think it's 25 kilometers at all. It's a lot closer than that. Okay? A lot closer than that. This is Ensenada right here. That's Ensenada right here. 15 kilometers is a long distance. I believe this is probably no more than like 5 miles northeast of Ensenada here. Okay? Good old Ensenada, California. And yes, we've had earthquakes here before. A lot of earthquakes here before. Does anybody have any questions for me? Okay? I predominantly talked about the Pacific Northwest tonight and California. Okay? Just briefly, we just had an earthquake here. Okay? Mammoth Mountain, Wyoming. The Mammoth Geyser Basin up here in Wyoming. This is a 3.8 earthquake here in the Mammoth Geyser Basin. This is just north of Yellowstone. Just north and west of Yellowstone. Okay? 3.8 earthquake here just happened. Over here, just on the south end of Yellowstone Lake here, is a 1.1 tremor here. Over here, we have a 0.7 microquake here. They say this is southeast of Yellowstone. Southeast of Yellowstone. Okay? Further over here, this is Hebgen Lake Estates. Hebgen Lake is where they had that, what they said earlier was a 7.1 earthquake here back in 1959. Now they're saying that earthquake was probably closer to an 8.1. The time they said it was a 7.1 earthquake, killed 100 people. It had nothing to do with Yellowstone volcano. Okay? Hebgen Lake Estates here. Just south of there, Spencer, Idaho. This is a fault zone. This is a fault zone, guys. This is a 1.0 tremor here in Spencer, Idaho. Right here, just south of there, is a 0.8 microquake. Okay? This is the great big huge fault zone right here. That's why these earthquakes here hit. It has nothing to do with the Yellowstone volcano. Okay? Any questions? And Pickering says all earthquakes are bad, Ron. Well, some of them are and some of them aren't. Now, I can't say all earthquakes are bad. These microquakes are releasing pressure. The microquakes are releasing pressure. It's when we get up to the 1.5, 2.0, 1.5 tremors, 2.0, 2.9, 3.0s. Those are not releasing pressure. That's a buildup of pressure. Okay? I can't say the buildup of pressure of earthquakes is bad, but when it gets to 5.0 and larger, that's bad. That's bad. Even 4.5 moderate earthquakes are very, shall I say, they can be dangerous because the 4.5 earthquakes can cause a lot of damage if they're shallow. If they're very shallow earthquakes near residential areas, they will cause some damage. That's why I get upset by USGS saying that the 4.5 earthquakes are light earthquakes. They're not. They're moderate, and they cause moderate damage. There's nothing light about a 4.5 quake, plain and simple. Okay? And Heather says here in the chat, this is why we stress needing to be prepared. Prepared for everything. Earthquakes, tsunamis, big, huge tornadoes, straight line winds that can cause damage. We have hurricanes that can cause damage. We have blizzards that can cause damage. We need to stay prepared for any kind of calamity that might happen, whether it's weather related, earthquake zone related, volcanoes, whatever it might be. We need to stay prepared. We need to stay prepared. Don Patoga's asking, will there be a klaxon when it happens? I don't know. I don't know. Mount St. Helens could erupt anytime without warning. Hurricane Heather is talking about Mount St. Helens could erupt now without warning. She's absolutely right. I've been warning about Mount St. Helens and Mount Rainier for about a year now. Both those volcanoes are showing signs of an eruption happening immediately. Could happen any minute, any moment. And yet USGS is treading lightly on that, saying, oh, it's not going to happen. They even put out a news release a few weeks ago saying it's not likely to go and be able to erupt anytime soon. They're lying to the public. And Mount Lassen too, Heather says, absolutely. Mount Lassen is getting ready to erupt. I've shown you seismograms last week of Mount Lassen getting ready to erupt. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Mount Lassen, Mount Rainier, and Mount St. Helens. All three of those are getting ready to erupt, and it could be any time. Any time. Just a second here. Yeah, klaxon is a loud alarm, guys. That's all that is, a loud alarm. And yes, a volcanic blast can be very loud. I'm going to be quite honest with you. A volcanic blast can be very loud. And when it happens, you're going to go, oh my gosh, what happened? It'll literally tear you apart. It'll literally tear you apart. Now, guys, Sleeping Volcano is talking about a 5.2 earthquake in Sulawesi, Indonesia. I'm going to go over there and show you that earthquake. Okay? It's over here in central Indonesia. Right there. That's a 5.2 earthquake. and USGS has already downgraded it. USGS has downgraded this to a 5.0. Sulawesi, Indonesia. Right next to it is a 4.8. Okay, that's an aftershock. Now, guys, what you need to know about this, okay, this is serious. Actually, that was a foreshock. This 4.8 was a foreshock. What you need to know is that when an earthquake, or not earthquake, when a volcano erupts, it's equivalent to a 5.0 large earthquake. It's equivalent to a 5.0 earthquake, except you'll have rock, you have cinders, you have a huge vapor eruption. You have a huge vapor eruption, and that magma under pressure is coming from inside the earth, and it's wailing. It's wailing. It's a very loud noise. It's an overwhelming bad noise, actually. Okay? We've shown volcanoes erupting in the past, and I'm sure you've heard the noise when the volcano erupts. And if you're right next to it, it's overwhelming. It's overwhelming. A 5.2 here in central Indonesia today. Central Indonesia. And you notice they're not showing hardly any other seismic activity anywhere. What a joke that is. North of Sulawesi here in Gorontalo, Indonesia, we have had a 5.5 earthquake here today, right there. A 5.5 very large earthquake here. This earthquake is 98 kilometers deep. Still a fairly shallow earthquake. Still a very shallow earthquake. Over here, east of Java. Okay, this is Tual, Indonesia, in the Banda Sea. This is a 4.1 earthquake here. Northern Indonesia here, Tobi Village, Palu, Indonesia. 4.6 earthquake here. Palu, Indonesia is where they filmed an episode of Survivor here years ago. Okay? Go over here to Papua New Guinea. Actually, this is not Papua New Guinea. This is Papua, Indonesia. This is a 4.2 earthquake here. 4.2 moderate earthquake there. Now, this is not the only earthquakes that's here. There are quite a few other, probably I want to say 16 earthquakes here in Indonesia. But they're not showing them, are they? They don't think they have to. They don't think they have to. Right here. This is in the Marianas, the Mariana Trench here. This is a 4.5 moderate earthquake here in the Mariana Islands, the Mariana Trench. Okay? Over here, north of Hokkaido, this is Russia. This is a 4.7 earthquake here. 175 kilometers east of Kurskova, Russia. Actually, Kurskov, Russia. Kurskov, Kurskov, Russia. Okay? A 4.7 moderate earthquake here. Now I'll go over here. Nothing in India. Nothing in Myanmar, Thailand, Vietnam. Nothing. China. Kuka, China. Kuqa, China. We've had a lot of earthquakes here before. This is a 4.0 earthquake. We've had deadly earthquakes here in Kuka, China before. Okay? They're not showing any other earthquakes except over here in Iran. Okay? This is a 4.1 over here in southern Iran. Right on the fault zone. Right smack dab on the fault zone. Okay? Further south over here in Ethiopia. There isn't a day goes by that there's not an earthquake over here in Ethiopia. This has been going on for probably 2 months now. There's a 4.5 earthquake right there. And I'm sure there are other earthquakes here as well. But this is the only earthquake that they're talking about here. It's sad. It's very sad. They're not showing any earthquakes here in Turkey. Over in eastern Turkey, there's a bunch. They're not showing any earthquakes anywhere in Europe. Italy, Greece, France, Spain, Germany, nothing. There are earthquakes all over here. In Europe here, I want to say there's probably 200 earthquakes throughout Europe. But you're not going to hear it here on USGS because it's not going to happen. You have to find them. You have to find them. Okay? Just real briefly. Over here. Loyalty Islands here in the South Pacific. This is at 4.9, 5.0 here in Loyalty Islands. Okay? Over here in New Zealand, we have a 5.1 earthquake over here in New Zealand today. A large earthquake here, guys. There's going to be damage here. There's going to be injuries here. This is a large 5.1 earthquake here on the southern part of the island, North Island of New Zealand. The southern part of the North Island of New Zealand. A large earthquake here. Now, there are people that live in this area here. People that live over here. There's also villages of people over here. There's a small village of people there. There's a small village of people here. Actually, this is a town. Okay, these people felt it. These people felt it. Yes, they're on the other side of the mountain range, but they felt it. This earthquake happened at approximately 5:26 a.m. Eastern Time this morning. Okay, just about 14, 15 hours earlier. Okay, New Zealand. There are all kinds of earthquakes here around the North Island and the South Island here of New Zealand. But again, USGS doesn't believe it's necessary to talk about it. All kinds of earthquakes here. Okay? Up here to the north. Okay? We're talking about the Kermadec Islands. This was a 5.1 earthquake here earlier this morning also. 5:23 a.m. this morning. 5:23 a.m. this morning. This earthquake down here to the south part of the North Island happened at 5:26. So the earthquake up in the Kermadec Islands happened 3 minutes earlier. Okay, 5.1 down in New Zealand here, and in the Kermadec Islands. This is also a 5.1 earthquake, just north of there. This is a 5.8, also in the Kermadec Islands. This happened at 1:52 p.m. this afternoon. I watched it come in. Again, the Kermadec Islands are not occupied by anything but birds. A bird sanctuary. And this is a very powerful 5.8 earthquake. Very powerful, very strong earthquake here. 5.8 earthquake in the Kermadec Islands. We go north. Okay, now we're talking here about south of Humatonga. USBS is saying it is 200, actually it's saying it's 300 kilometers west-northwest of Humatonga. It's not. It's not. This is west of Humatonga. Okay, Humatonga is right here. It's not southwest, it's northwest of Humatonga. A 4.4 moderate earthquake here. This is 573 kilometers deep, which means this is going to propagate a 5.4, 5.5 earthquake. This 4.7 is going to propagate a 5.4 to a 5.5 earthquake sometime within the next 10 days. Okay? Here, this is a 4.4. This is even deeper. This is 491 kilometers deep. This 4.4 is going to propagate a 5.2, 5.3 earthquake. A 5.2, 5.3 earthquake sometime within the next 3 to 10 days. Okay? Then we go north here. This is north, they say this is north in Tonga. Yes, it most assuredly is. There's Tonga right there. This is also a 5.1 earthquake. This 5.1 earthquake is approximately, I want to say 30, 40 miles north of Tonga. It's a 5.1 earthquake. So from here in Tonga, all the way south through the Kermadec Islands, south to the south part of the North Island, New Zealand, we've had 4 large earthquakes. We've had 4 large earthquakes here today. Okay, that's huge. That's huge. I don't think we've had that many earthquakes here in the South Pacific for a very long time. I think we're going to probably have more earthquakes in the Kermadec Islands, though. I think we're going to have to keep our eyes on the Kermadec Islands going into the next few days. Okay? You guys have any questions? Do you have any questions? Over here in Peru, I shouldn't forget this. Over here in Peru, southern Peru, Paracas, Peru. This is a 5.0 earthquake. A 5.0 earthquake just along the coast of Paracas, Peru. 60 kilometers south-southwest of Paracas, Peru. Okay, right there. Right along the coastline. This is the western side, the western edge of the South American plate. The western edge of the South American plate. And it's by far not the only earthquake here today. USGS would have us to believe there's nothing else going on, but there are. This area right here where you see my cursor, there are about 10 earthquakes right here. Right in this area here. 10, I'm going to say 2.5 to 3.5 earthquakes right here. Northern Chile. Northern Chile. This earthquake here is at the top of the mountains here, the top of the Andes Mountains here, and this is near San Antonio de los Cobres, Argentina, the border of Chile and Argentina. A 4.1 moderate earthquake here. Okay? Down south in central Chile here. This is a large earthquake here, 5.0 large earthquake. This is near Villa Bastillo Nievas, Argentina. Large earthquake here. Right next to it in Chile. This is a 4.4 earthquake here. So this area is rocking and rolling. And I can guarantee you there's a lot more earthquakes here than there. Okay? A lot more earthquakes here than they're showing. Promise. Whenever we have large earthquakes, there's always other aftershocks or foreshocks setting around here. Another earthquakes all over this area. I want to say there's probably 20, 30 earthquakes here in the Chile-Argentina area today, encompassing also Peru. And they're not showing all the earthquakes in Peru. They're not showing the earthquakes in Ecuador and Colombia either. They're not showing but one earthquake over here in the Caribbean. One earthquake. This is also 5.0 earthquake here. Okay? It's off the coast of Nicaragua. It appears to be off the coast of Nicaragua in the Caribbean Ocean. A large earthquake here. Then over here, I believe this is in Guatemala. They're saying this is in Mexico, southern Mexico, Palmarecito, Mexico. This is a 4.6 earthquake here. Okay. So we have earthquakes all over this area. Also over here in the Indian Ocean. Southwest Indian Ocean, we have a 4.6 earthquake here. Unreal. Does anyone have any questions for me? And Pickering says it's getting late there. Hope we all speak tomorrow. Lots of love. Good night. God bless, Ann. Have a good night, Ann. We love you very much. We love all of you very much. Now, folks, I'm going over to the New Testament here. I'm going over to Timothy. Timothy is Paul's brother. Actually, Timothy is Paul's best friend that he calls his brother. Over in chapter 3 in Timothy, I want to talk about chapter 3, verse 16. And without controversy, great is the mystery of godliness. God was made manifest in the flesh, justified in the spirit, seen of angels, preached unto the Gentiles, and believed on in the world, received up into glory. Brothers and sisters, Christ is still with us. Christ is still with us. We talk of him, we love him, we preach of him, and we worship him. We love each and every one of you. We really do. Demon Catman is saying if you want to send comments or questions, you can send them to our email address, rltnspdema@gmail.com. You can also send us postcards, letters, and even send in donations to our local address here at 104 North Green Street, Box 105, Morganton, North Carolina. Zip code here is 28655. Demon Catman just put this in the chat as well. Thank you, Demon Catman. We appreciate you. Now, Don Patoga is also saying something very relevant here. God helps those willing to do the work, but you need to do the work. Faith without works is dead. You need to do the work. Don't be like the 5 virgins unprepared. Don't be like those 5 virgins that were unprepared. Make sure you have plenty of preparedness. Make sure you have oil in your own lamps. Make sure you have oil in your own lamps. Okay, it's vital. It's vital for your own survival. Food and water, clothing. Food, water, and clothing, guys. And even something to make shelters with. Brothers and sisters, I will be back tomorrow evening, same time, same station, between 6 and 7 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow evening. Thank you for being here. Please share this program with everybody you know. It's vital. Everybody needs to know what's going on around you. Okay? We need to know about the earthquakes. We need to know about the political things going on because it affects each of our lives. It doesn't matter which country you're in. What's going on here in America affects everybody around the world. And yes, we do talk about things happening all around the world. Earthquakes and politics. We've done that. May God bless you. May God be with you this day and always. We will see you on the other side. God be with you until we meet again. Have a good night, everybody. Much love. See you soon.